And now for a conversation on the science of health, please welcome Robert Waldinger, author and professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, with Julie Beck, senior editor at The Atlantic.
Hi, Bob. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi.
So let's just get right to it.
Okay.
So you're in charge of this huge study of human happiness, the Harvard Study of Adult Development. Can you just give us a quick overview of what is the study's mission and what makes it unique?
The study started in 1938. I'm the fourth director. I'm not that well preserved, but and it was actually started as two studies in Boston that didn't know about each other. A study of Harvard College undergraduates and a study of boys from Boston's poorest and most troubled families. And both of them were meant to be studies of what helped people thrive as they go through life. So the Harvard guy's a no-brainer, but the inner city guys, the question was, how did they manage to stay on good developmental paths? And that was radical for that time.
So the study's been going on for 85 years. So I'm assuming there's been some changes made along the way. Can you tell me a little bit about how the study's evolved?
Yes. First, if you want to study normal young adult development, you study all white men from Harvard? No. So we're always having to explain to NIH why they should continue to fund us. So we've brought in spouses, we've brought in children, more than half of whom are female. And then we've changed so many methods. I mean, we used to do medical exams and interviews, and we still do, but now we draw blood for DNA. DNA wasn't even imagined in 1938.
Well, so I think maybe we're glossing over possibly the most interesting thing about the study, which is you take the same people and you follow them through their whole lives, right?
Right.
So what does that let you learn that a lot of other studies on happiness maybe can't capture?
Well, most studies do snapshots of people. You know, we could study 20-year-olds and 40-year-olds today, and but when you get to ask people the same questions, you get to draw a little map, a little trajectory of their life, and we do this with thousands of people.
Yeah. So in summing up the findings of this study, I'm most curious, from following people all through their lives, what is the difference between what people think will make them happy and then what actually ends up making them happy?
Yeah. Well, all of our people, when they were starting out on their careers, thought that being wealthy and being famous and winning lots of awards was going to do it for them, and it just didn't.
Did any of them get famous?
Some of them did. John F. Kennedy was part of our study. Okay. Ben Bradley, longtime editor of the Washington Post. Actually, the Boston Strangler was part of our study.
No. How happy was he?
Yeah. No, he wasn't too happy. It didn't go well for him.
Great.
But what we found was that people thought when they were starting out as adults that wealth and fame and achievement were going to make them happy. And everybody, when we asked them to look back in their 80s on what they were proudest of, it wasn't any of that. It was, I was a good father, I was a good mentor, I was a good friend. So it was all about their connections with other people.
Why do you think we get distracted? Do we just not think about our own mortality enough? That's not really a joke. That's a serious question.
Well, it's true. I mean, I'm a Zen practitioner, and we talk about mortality all the time. But and it turns out that makes us happier, remembering that time is short. Yeah. But if you think about it, relationships, which is the most powerful predictor of well-being in our scientific work, relationships have been there since before we had words. And so they're like the air we breathe. So we never stop and think, well, how am I doing in that realm of my life? And it's not measurable in the same way that, money or awards are measurable.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking a lot about basically that main finding of the study, that the most important thing for our happiness is our relationships. And it's not surprising, right? It's important, but it's not surprising because I think, you know, we are basically just apes, like we're a social species. Like I think all of us know on some level that our relationships are really important for our happiness.
Yeah.
So if we know this, then like why do we struggle to do it?
Well, two things. One is that the surprise for us wasn't that good relationships kept people happier. It was that it also kept them healthier and they live longer. So we live longer if we have good relationships. And we at first thought that can't be a real finding. And then many other studies began to find the same thing. But then your question is so important. Why don't we pay more attention to our relationships? And besides taking them for granted, they're complicated. You know, every relationship of any significance has conflict, is confusing at times. And so they take work. And they take continual work, and I think that's one of the things that makes it a little easier to keep them on the back burner.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's like I actually think about this a lot because I report on friendships and community, and so I really want to try to prioritize my friendships and my community, but like it does feel hard. Like it feels sometimes like swimming upstream of like forces that are pulling you to other things. Like, do you ever feel that way?
Yes, I do. And many times people say, you know, I have so much going on in my life, and now you're telling me I have to tend to my friendships and my family. But I think what,
well,
you know, like...
Do they phrase it like that?
Right, they do. I've had people phrase it like that. I just don't have time for that. But I think, you know, what we found, and when we studied all these people, what we found was that the people who were good at this just took small actions over and over again. And that's what makes a difference. So if you think about it, you could all think of somebody right now who you miss and don't see enough, and you could just send them a little text or a little note, right? We could do that every day, make sure that we're with the people we care about. When we studied these lives, those were the people who were the happiest, the least stressed, and felt that life was most worthwhile.
Man, the texting is a tough one. Like, I do think the like currency of modern friendship is texts, and I'm very bad at texting, so I do need to work on that. I'm gonna look at my notes for a sec because I just want to get this study right. But there was a 2019 study in the U.S. that found that 3 out of 4 adults felt moderate to high levels of loneliness, and like I know the pandemic did not make that better, right? So, for this epidemic of loneliness, right, as the Surgeon General likes to call it, how much of it is something that's structural or beyond our control? Like, how much can we blame the pandemic, society, and how much can be changed by our daily choices?
Well, there are lots of these factors that are not in our control. Even how our cities are structured, how our jobs are structured, the mobility of our societies, all of that makes for more loneliness. And social media makes many people feel lonely. When we passively consume other people's Instagram feeds, we feel bad about ourselves. But what we find is that if the path of least resistance is more and more disconnection, which it is, then what we need to do is just be more intentional about not taking that path, of doing these actions that we found work so well for people.
So it really is kind of like swimming upstream a little bit.
It is a bit.
So, I mean, I think that's relieving to a degree, right? Because if it feels hard, there's a reason. It's not just like, I'm not trying hard enough.
Right. Right. No, it's not. It's hard. And in fact, you know, when they've done studies of talking to strangers, like on a commute, people think they're going to hate it when they're assigned to talk to a stranger. And then they're so much happier than the people who just did their usual thing on their commute. So we find that there's a little bit of resistance to overcome. Like maybe this person isn't going to want to hear from me. But more often than not, you get so much positive back when you do that little reaching out.
Why do you think we feel that resistance? Like, aren't we a social species? Like, why do we not want to do it? Why does it feel like eating vegetables to talk to somebody on the train?
You know, I wonder if it's partly a cultural thing. My wife and I were just in Australia, and people were different there. People would stop us on the street. If we were looking at a map, they'd say, do you need any help? It was like, whoa, this is not Boston where I live, right? And so I do think there's some cultural factors. You know, is this person going to think I'm creepy if I make an overture to talk to someone I don't know. So I think there is some of that. I'll tell you one thing I've done. I've started talking to Uber drivers. Okay. If an Uber driver, particularly if he or she has an accent, I ask them where they're from. And it has opened up so many wonderful conversations about other countries, about other lives. So I'm just saying we can cultivate those habits, but it involves pushing against that tide, swimming against it.
How much do you blame smartphones for this? Like what percent?
Okay, there's a researcher named Jean Twenge who's a psychologist, and she has studied how we use smartphones, how we use social media, and her research finds that if we use them passively to scroll through other people's lives, we feel worse. But if we actively use smartphones and other social media to connect, then it enhances well-being.
Again, with the texting, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Have any of the study's findings surprised you?
Yes, that actually that privilege matters, but it doesn't matter as much for happiness. That our inner city group and those families, the poor and working class families, were just as happy on average. That doesn't mean that deprivation is okay, it's not. But what it means is that privilege does not seem to be a ticket to happiness.
Yeah. I think another theme in your book about this study, The Good Life, is attention, right? So what we're giving our attention to is maybe like the most important thing that shapes our experience of our own lives. So speaking of, the smartphones and whatnot, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of things that compete for our attention.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to feel like we are in more control of our attention and directing it to the things that we actually care about instead of having it sucked away and stolen by things that ultimately leave us feeling depleted?
Yes, we can be intentional. So literally, they've studied what it's like if you and I have a conversation and there's a smartphone sitting on the table, even if it's face down, if there's a smartphone on the table, our conversation will go to less depth. Because there's this subliminal sense that we could be interrupted at any moment. So I think that the question is, can we be intentional about saying, okay, when we're together, we're not gonna have our phones even visible. When we're having a meal together, we are not going to have phones or iPads there.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed a norm, at least among my friend group, right, where you put your phone face down, and that's kind of the polite thing. But you're saying that's still too much.
Because the message is we can get interrupted at any moment, so let's not get too deep.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Do you think that the factors that contribute to our happiness and how we spend our attention and all of that shift as we age? Is the thing that's making me the happiest, or the thing that's like sucking my happiness, different at 16 than it is at 40, 50, 60, 70?
Totally, totally. I mean, think about what it's like to be 16 and what it's like to be 66, and what we care about is so different. It turns out that as we get older, we get happier. That the sense that time is limited, because I used to think, as we got older, we'd get more sad, but as a species, we get happier, that the sense of limited time makes us savor what's going on right now. Whereas 16 to 24-year-olds are the loneliest age group in our society.
Even though they're trapped in schools with all their peers?
I know, and we think, and some of them are in colleges, and they're all living together, having their best lives, right? That's my fantasy. Not true. And so I think one of the things we have to remember is that sense of, if we keep pulling back and saying, okay, what's really important in my life, that it ends up making us choose more wisely, and it makes us happier.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because I think it's really hard when you are like 16 to 24, right, to imagine yourself that far into the future and what's going to make you happy at that age. And so I'm curious, in following these people over the course of their lives, are there any choices that you noticed that people made when they were younger that really did pay off down the line? or conversely, things
Yes.
that they should not have done.
Yes, actually investing in relationships. So if you think about it, we studied these delinquent children, boys who were in terrible trouble part way. And what they found was that the way out of trouble for many of these young men was that they found partners who they cared about, who were good to them, who were sensible. And that in essence, what happens is that investing in good, solid people who take care of each other and are kind turns out to make a huge difference in the courses that our lives take.
Sort of regardless of circumstance or where you start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So has working on this study changed your personal priorities? Is there anything that you do that you think you might not have done if you didn't take over this study?
Definitely. So I'm a Harvard professor. I could work 24/7. That's what we do, right? And I realized that, especially once my kids were out of the house and they weren't dragging me off to do things, I could work all the time and neglect my friendships. And so my research has made me make sure that I call up friends and we go for walks or we go out to dinner. And I don't just leave it to my partner to arrange. I do this with my friends. That's a big change for me.
Totally. I think we all have that like one person in our lives who's kind of like brings the spreadsheet energy, right, to like a trip, or they're the one that's always like reaching out. And, you know, if maybe you're someone who struggles with that, do you have any tips?
Well, first of all, introverts are perfectly fine having fewer people in their lives. So that we want to say, right? That being an extrovert doesn't necessarily make you happy. Introverts need fewer people. So that's not a problem. But then I think you're right that we can be with people who are better at making these connections and bring us along. My wife is better at that, thank goodness. I'm really lucky in that regard, but I've tried to develop more of those muscles on my own because of my research.
Totally. I think, I had a good friend from college, and we always used to joke that like she just made all my friends for me.
Yeah.
But then I moved away, so I have to, you know, put in a little bit more work. I think in your book you talk about this concept of social fitness, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like some of these things that you're suggesting, like, you know, send in that extra text once a day, it just makes me think of like lifting weights, right? Like, so how do we get socially swole? Like,
That's
what
right.
should our fitness
That's right.
program
That's
be?
right. Well, that's what, you know, we coined that phrase just because it seemed like a good analogy. You know, if you go and lift weights today, you don't come home and say, I never have to work out again, right? You don't do that. Well, hopefully you don't. But you know, if you think about it, like if we could do these actions day after day after day, it keeps those muscles fit. And that's what we found. We found that the people who were so good at this were the people who did it day after day. And one of the things, you know, we noticed is that those were the people who had the easiest time getting through life's difficulties. And life brings all of us difficulties. So the friendships not only kept us happier, they buffered us from some of the slings and arrows that life is always sending our way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, it's all well and good to talk about the habits. And like, I often am like kind of beating myself up for not doing the habits that I know I should. Again, it's just like that feeling that you're kind of swimming against the tide of society when you're trying to prioritize these things. And so I'm going to ask you to narrow it down. If all of us with our busy lives could only do one thing and make one habit change, what would it be? If we all leave here today and we change one thing.
Really watch where you're directing your attention, and when you can, direct it toward the people you care about.
I mean, that'll do. All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Bob. This has been great. I feel like I need to go get my phone and send some texts.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone else does too.
Yeah. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you all.
Thank you.